Look closely at your neighbour. Trust no one. They might be the thing. This is the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 123, Spotlight on The Thing.
Superman.
Hello and welcome to episode 123 of the Cult Factions Podcast. Sorry, I made myself giggle there.
I thought you were going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
There were so many I could have chosen from. So 123 episode 123 that is of the Cult Faction Podcast, where tonight we'll be shining our bright spotlight on The Thing. So for those viewers, before I come into introductions, that don't know, the spotlight is where we look back, sometimes to the deep, dark, distant past of the 50s and 60s, but tonight...
The 80s.
The 80s. So this came from one of our long-time listeners and viewers of the podcast, and a podcast friend, Danny Watts. Big shout out to Danny.
Hello.
Good enthusiasm there.
Yay. Go Danny.
So Danny...
Go Danny. Go Danny.
so Danny nominated...
Yeah.
I wish it could be like Danny Watts. Yes. So Danny suggested this on a Facebook post. Thanks Danny. Tonight is for you. And a shout out to your daughter Tallulah.
Tonight is your night, bro.
If anyone else has any suggestions, you can email us.
And any tips are welcome. So I am your host for this evening. My name is Paul Hawkins, and I am joined by
Brett Summers
and
Damien Hicks. Didn't really need to shout there, Brett.
I was excited.
Yeah.
So now you're bringing it down, aren't you?
Beat down the enthusiasm.
Yeah.
See?
Oh shit! I meant to say to you, do you want to put those cokes in the fridge?
Too late now. Too late.
Other Cokes are available.
Colas are available.
Diet Coke. Refreshing.
So before we come on to the spotlight, we normally do some
It's not
rambling
really
about...
refreshing when it's warm, though, is it?
It can be. He looks happy drinking it.
I'm enjoying it.
Should
There
we
you go.
just give me some to put in the fridge behind him?
Oh, Jesus.
Fine.
He's all right. Leave it.
Oh, I can't stand.
seriously?
I just can't stand warm, fizzy
It's
drinks.
not warm yet. It's ice cold.
Is it?
He didn't offer to put my Coke in the fridge.
Yeah, it's what's cooler than being cool. Ice cold.
I can see it. Do you want to put yours in the fridge?
No, I'm fine. I've got easy access to my Coke in case I need it. Okay.
Coca-Cola.
Add that as well. So before we come on to talk about the thing, we normally do the waffle about what we've been up to and what we've been watching. So has anybody done anything interesting that they want to talk about?
Yeah.
Go on it, Summers.
I've finished my course of physio in acupuncture,
Okay.
where they stick big
Oh, I thought
pointy
you meant
things.
you've done a course.
No, I've been going under.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Turns into Miyagi.
Acupuncture once a week on my foot to try
And it's had a resounding success because we walked to the shop earlier and you're complaining all the way there.
Yep. So again, I would say has it helped my knee and leg, which it's supposed to? No, but acupuncture is like really cool and amazing. They came out really like, yeah, I want to do this now. I don't know. It just don't know if it's activates you. No, I think it just like kickstarts. I think it's something you should do in the morning, and then you'll just bomb through the day really quickly. For me, anyway, it just sort of kickstarted my adrenaline or something or other, and I was like, yeah, let's go.
I'm just distracted. The dog is very close to the camera. It's just this horrible feeling at some point he's going to knock it over.
That's
Well-
£250.
Yeah.
Well, you better keep watching and see if that happens. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Okay. Other than acupuncture, anything else going down? And
I went to the cinema.
well, we'll come on to what you watched.
Yeah, I'm holding it down. See.
Right, Damien,
Oh,
I'm going to bypass him now. He's gone all funny.
it's gone all a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, acupuncture.
Yeah.
What have I done? I've been to Cornwall. I don't think we've recorded since I went to Cornwall.
I
I saw
don't
the
think we
picture.
have.
At the police station.
Yeah, so I went and did a little walking tour of where they film. What's it called?
Beyond Paradise.
Beyond Paradise. Not Death in Paradise. That's not in filmed in Cornwall.
Would have been cool if you were
Yeah.
That's in Hackney with blue screens.
Anything else? I'm sure there's stuff. Must have.
When do they start filming? That's when we need to accidentally wander by.
there.
Probably autumn, I would imagine. But it's impossible to do it this time of year. It's just full of tourists.
You'll have to disguise ourselves. We'll get on that show somehow.
Good shout. Anything else? No. Oh, I
The pool.
got a pool. That's nice.
It is.
Yeah, a pump for it and everything. Proper pump. Sand filter pump thing. It's good. Keeps it nice and clear.
Yeah. And if the girls get busy, you can put some koi carp in there.
You?
They might die with the chlorine.
Yeah, obviously you get rid of the chlorine.
Oh, okay.
That'd be great koi
I think I
carp.
meant the carp with the girls. I was trying to work out what.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm not sure where you're going with that one,
I
Paul.
don't know, I'm scared.
Okay.
I'm going to stop watching the dog. He's really off-putting.
Yeah, he is. So nothing really. I've got holiday in a couple of weeks that I'm just living for. So yeah, just work, and that's about it. Cool. So let's move on to what we've been watching. So Summers, you went to the cinema.
I did.
Hopefully that was to see a film and not just to hang around.
Yeah,
outside.
I like the popcorn. Yeah, it's a Russian art house, basically, the 17th century that they just restored. No, it wasn't. It was Deadpool Wolverine.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
So I mean, I have watched Deadpool 1 and 2 in anticipation for the film coming out.
Yeah.
So
To be fair, a nice shout out because when Kate, my lovely other half, and not as
Your significant other.
my housemate, that didn't go down well. I thought it was funny when she pointed out that the other people didn't know who she was. There wouldn't be an impact. I was like, yeah, good point. I'm sorry. Yeah, she actually watched Deadpool and Deadpool 2 beforehand to get ready for it because she knew that there was no way we weren't going to see it, and really enjoyed them. She liked them a lot. I think it's because again, it's just funny as well as it is superhero-y, but it's also a bit rude and a bit
tongue in cheek.
and it's quite emotional at times, especially the start of Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we went as a tribe. Rowan came with us, and after the initial order tickets online, then they take the payment, but I didn't get a confirmation of the tickets. Then they're like, oh, that's because the payment's been held and hasn't been approved. So we lost the seats that we pre-booked, but then we got the other ones. But the manager gave us £1 off each.
Cool. What was the film like? I mean, I'm
It's a whole experience.
I think it's good.
The cinema
I've been
is
to the
the
cinema for a long
experience.
time. So.
We packed the car up because we didn't know how long it was going to take.
And then,
We took a thermos flask and some sandwiches.
And then, what did we have?
Popcorn?
We
Nachos
have?
with cheese.
we had ice cream because it was really hot, and a really massive Coke, which was bigger than that bottle.
Yeah.
I realised what a big Coke it was.
Probably cost £17 there or something.
Oh, it was enough money, yes.
Yeah.
But I bought tickets. Kate bought the food.
Oh, that's a win-win
Lovely.
situation. Because the tickets are normally cheaper than the food and drink nowadays.
Well, I pretty much bought them twice as well, so it was that was the other reason. Yeah, and then we went in, sat down in our luxury seats, aircon. Again, the view at
So you didn't
Eastleigh.
eat the ice cream then?
Oh yeah, we had the ice cream. We had that before.
Oh, right,
That didn't
okay.
last too long. And then, but yeah, amazing film.
Yeah.
Very, very funny. Again, if you don't know anything about it, you'll still enjoy some of it. But this one was more Easter egg friendly because.
And this has been hyped up for probably about the last year and a half,
Yeah.
hasn't it? So,
I mean,
yeah.
if you've never seen anything before, then you'll probably still enjoy it. But if you've seen any sort of the Marvel, even more specifically the Fox Marvel universe as it was, which was sort of the X-Men, the Fantastic Four. I'm sure there was something else, Blade, Daredevil, all that sort of stuff. Then you'll get a lot more out of it.
Yeah.
I would say, because like, you know, people from those films might pop up.
And Ryan Reynolds managed to convince Hugh Jackman to come back and be Wolverine again after he said he was never going to do it again, even though he said he was never going to do it again last time.
Yeah. There was a quote I found. I was looking it up, and he said he wouldn't do it again unless it was for like a big bucket of Marvel money or something. And then he got a big bucket of Marvel money, and yeah,
Couple of
he's
shares
very
in
good in
Wrexham
it.
as
I
well.
mean, without giving much away, they pretty much cover every incarnation of Wolverine you've ever seen in the comics at some
Yeah.
point or other. There's a few other Wolverines in there as well.
It's nice that Cavill.
I wasn't going to give that one away.
Well, no, it's all out there now.
Yeah.
So
I was avoiding it all. Yeah, I was trying not to.
bit
You
late,
can't
but-
help it. It's everywhere.
Yeah, but I wasn't going to say it because again, I'd stayed off the internet till I watched it.
It's fine. It's been out long enough.
And but yeah, there is
His
a bit
kids
where,
are in it. A dog's in it. So
yeah, there is a bit where yeah, Henry Cavill turns up as Wolverine, so that could be if that's where they're going to go next. But he looks cool. And they do say that they'll treat him better than the shithouse down the road or whatever, the shithouse other studio making a dig at DC. But yeah, no, that's cool. Lots of other people appear.
I always like a film when people appear.
No, but like characters you'll recognise from other superhero
Yeah.
movies that you would expect, and a few new ones. And but yeah, it's really good. It's really funny, and I don't know if we'll get another Deadpool film now.
Ooh.
I don't know because of it's what they do next now. They've let him play around in the Marvel playground and kind of tidied up that corner of the MCU, whatever you want to call it. But it'd be interesting to see what they do next. I don't know.
Be nice if they brought back to do Green Lantern again.
Well, they killed him in the other film. I've gone.
do do do.
Have we stopped?
No?
I've got. Oh, I'm back in my ears now. It went dead then. It just like you heard it go boom,
Boom.
But yeah. So yeah, really, really good. Probably a solid 7 or an 8.
Cool.
You can give it higher if you want, but as I think it's one of those in like 10 years' time, will it be as good? It's a bit like
It's of the now.
yeah, it's of the now, and it's 9 or a 10 at the moment of the now. But I think over time it will be probably about a 7 or an 8. Still a strong 7 or an 8.
And the most F-bombs ever in a Marvel film within the space of 1 minute.
Probably. And probably the most superheroic pair of balls you'll ever see.
Cool. Well, I'm looking
Leave
forward
that
to
there
seeing
to when you see it. You'll get what I mean when it happens. It'll hit you in the face.
it. Toy stuff.
So yeah, that was good.
So Damien,
What?
what have you been watching?
What have I been watching? Or
That we
what have I been
recorded.
watching? We are
Hopefully no journeys to get to the living room.
No,
or anything like that.
cinema. I got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. Going to the cinema is not an option. I have watched.
That's good because if you'd sat in front of me, I would have moaned.
Well, yeah, especially with a 3-year-old to watch Deadpool. 3.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So my watching has been television based. I did watch on Shudder. I forgot what it's called now. Late Night with the Devil.
oh, is that the one where he's a chat show host?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, I did write some stuff down, but I can't find it now.
I have not seen this. Please tell me more.
Okay.
It's quite new.
Yeah, it was. Yes, it's only been up on Shudder a couple of months now, probably. You got. See, I don't really know how to pronounce this guy's name, but I'm going to give it a go. David Dastmalchian. You think it's polka dot in
Yeah.
whatever it's called.
Not Justice League.
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad.
He was in the Flash as well, wasn't he?
I couldn't remember. I may.
Yeah.
But to be fair, he looks nothing like him in
Yeah,
this.
he didn't. When I saw him in Suicide Squad, then realised he was the guy for the Flash. Again, he's one of those actors. I think whenever you see him, he's like Lon Chaney or something. He
It's
just looks
just-
completely different.
Yeah, I wouldn't have recognised him, to be fair. Anyway, so he's playing a chat show host in the 70s. And the kind of premise is that it's kind of a bit found footage, a bit the original broadcast that went out. So
Yeah.
what they've done the narrator more or less at the start says is that this is the original broadcast that went out along with found footage from behind scenes, as it's never it's never been shown since, and we've now spliced it all together. And the basic premise is his ratings are dropping like a lead balloon, I guess, and he hits on the idea of this bringing this girl on who's supposedly possessed, because there was a kind of Waco style siege at a cult that everyone was killed apart from this girl, and she's apparently possessed by the whatever they were worshipping, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then sort of all hell breaks loose on the set. Kind
Literally.
of similar to the thingy. What's it called with Craig Charles and Michael Parkinson and what's it called? Ghostwatch. That's it. Yeah, so it's very much like Ghostwatch. The problem is it's not scary. It's good because of the way it's done, and I mean, it's shot and coloured perfectly to look 70s, but the story is just a bit, or rather the reveal and all that sort of stuff. It's just not scary. It's more of a thriller than a horror.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating because it's a really good premise. And we're having sound issues again, aren't we?
Well,
You're not in my ear.
I think it's going to be one of those things where it just carries on being echoey after a while because the machine's getting old.
All right.
No, I'm just saying because
He has a name.
there's nothing, there's nothing else running on it. It's just struggling. But it sounds okay when you play it back.
Let's hope so. Yeah, so that's that. What else have you... We'll come back to some of the other stuff that I've watched.
Ears at all again now.
Yeah, you can hear me though, can't you?
Yeah, and your voice.
That's good enough, isn't it?
Well, it used to be.
Okay, so I watched The Bike Riders. Paid for it. This is with Tom Hardy, Jodie Comer, and Austin Butler.
Yeah, I like the look of that. You're going to tell me I'm going to be disappointed, aren't you?
Well,
I know nothing of this. Give me a little brief synopsis.
so I think it's set in like the 50s or 60s.
Yeah, it looks like that.
And this is like the formation of bike gangs.
Oh yes, no, I do. Yeah, that did look good.
The only thing is, you guys are always going on about
Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy, and I don't think this is going to live up to your expectations or your possible thinkings about what could be, because obviously Sons of Anarchy goes on for series and series and series.
Yeah.
And this is in the space of, we're trying to tell the story in the space of a couple of hours. It's a bit of a weird one because we've got Tom Hardy and Jodie Comer playing like American people, and her accent actually kind of winds me up, but it might be done on purpose because of the type of character she is. It's okay, and it's sort of based on a book about the actual real events, so I guess it can't be glamorized too much. But yeah, it probably kind of lacks a lot of the excitement of like the real world. But again, this is trying to be almost a truthful portrayal of the bike gang called the Vandals at the time.
Yeah.
That was set up by Tom Hardy. Austin Butler was almost a younger wannabe that embraced the lifestyle more than any of the other gang. So he
got well into it.
He quickly rose through the ranks, as it were, and Tom Hardy, obviously took him under his wing, and obviously, and Jodie Comer's his love interest to start with, who becomes his wife, and the mixed up relationship they have while he's part of the gang. It's an okay watch. As I said, where it's based on a true story, it hasn't got the thrills and spills of as I said, something like Sons of Anarchy. I'd wait for it to become free before going off and watching it. But yeah, it's worth a watch. I'd give it probably a 6 out of 10 though.
Because I didn't rank A Night with the Devil, did I?
No.
You carry on then, and
I finished.
Oh, okay. So I would give A Night with the Devil a solid 7 because, as I said, the coloration, the aesthetic is just spot on, but the scares just aren't there. It's a thriller,
and you
it's billed as a horror. So
no, it definitely is because I was going to watch it.
It's worth watching.
But I wanted a horror film.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, I'll wait until it comes out on Sky and then then give it a watch.
Yeah.
All right, coming back to you, Summers. Have you got anything else?
Yes, I have found. Well,
Jesus.
What?
You found Jesus.
Well, I found him ages ago. It's on the couch, and no, I found the show. Although we had to buy it to watch season 1. Evil.
Yeah.
It stars Mike. Luke
I was going to watch that a while back.
Coulter. Season 1 is $2.99 on Amazon at the moment.
See, when I went to watch it, it was $5.99.
Yeah, it's come down.
I'm not going to spend £6. I know it's only £6, but I'm not going to spend £6 on taking a chance on a series.
It's like $2.99 an episode of House of Dragon at the moment.
Is it?
It's like no way. I'm not doing that.
Shit.
Yeah. No, you'll like it.
No, I know. I think I will, but yeah.
But it's very, very, very clever.
Right, Evil. What's it about?
It is. You have Mike Coulter, who was Luke Cage in the Marvel Netflix series. He is a trainee priest who sort of has visions and stuff of the devil and things. Then you've got there's a dude with him.
Doesn't matter. We just want the premise of the show.
Is like a sort of. He's like their tech guy, so he tries to work out how things have been done. Asif Mandevi, and then there's Katja Herbers, who plays this woman called Kristen, and we watch the first sort of look at the episodes. We're watching it through her eyes because she's like a psychologist who does stuff in court cases and that, and they acquire her to their team because they need almost like someone to disprove as well. So what it is, they work for the Catholic Church, but it's Catholic to begin with. It's become more of the church, I think, as it's gone along. Or they're playing into that anyway. But and basically they might be like, oh, there's a miracle or there's an exorcism or whatever, and they go along, and Mike Coulter will be like, oh yeah, it's like Jesus or the devil or something. She'll be like, no, it's multiple personality disorder. And the other dude will be like, well, what they've done here is they've wired that through there to project there. And that's clearly, like, if I go back through his search history, I can see. So it's kind of almost a bit uncanny like, but it was going before uncanny. You know that where you've got your different teams and your different things.
There was a British show that did that. I think in the mid-90s. I can't remember I don't know the guy's name. He's a famous UK actor. He was in something QC.
One, didn't he?
Yeah, no, not that one. I know the one you mean.
Yeah.
Oh, what's his name? I can't remember his name now. It was Kavanagh QC was a guy that played him. The Kavanagh QC. Yeah. I can't remember his name. It's not Sam Neill, but it's,
as you said to Brett, doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But that's
going to look it up anyway.
That was. I think it's like called the Vicar or the Priest or something.
That was John Ford.
Yeah, he did a show very similar. I'm sure it was him.
Okay, well, I'll look into that. And then, but what makes it really cool is you've got Michael Emerson, who was in Lost. He was like the leader of the others. He was Henry Gale for a while, and then we found out his real name. I've forgotten it now. He was one with the glasses.
No, it's not going to make the difference.
He was like the evil one.
Oh, the guy that was in Person of Interest.
Yeah, he's in Person of Interest as well. Yeah. He is like the sort of the satanic influence, isn't it? So he's like, but he's all nice, but he's evil. And they know he's evil. And there's bits where like Michael Coulter will be praying at the end of the episode because of what happened or whatever. And he's just stood behind her going, he's not listening, you know. It's a waste of time you doing that. And all this. And it's just really, it kind of, it's a weird vibe because sometimes you see things blatantly. Sometimes it's left for you to work out and it's left open. But there's this whole running sort of theme through it where Michael Emerson, was it Leland Townsend? He's like trying to corrupt and get people to do things on their own and all that. There's all. Can I do a spoiler bell?
I'm bugging up the sound just now, but yeah.
Spoiler bell. There's one episode where he finds this like geeky older teenage lad who like goes into the coffee shop and asks to go out behind the till, and she's just like, no, and he's going, "You gonna take that?" and all that, and he basically, as the episode goes along, he's like coaching him, conditioning him, and all that, and then like he wants him to go into like a ladies' gym and just shoot them all. And go, and it's all played like it's like a high school shooting type thing. And it's quite bad. He's going, "Yeah, you can't take that. You need to do that. I want you to do this and all this." And then he finally like cracks him enough that this lad's going to do it because he's like seducing him and like and all that. And then
the dark side.
but then later on in the episode, he gets to near it. The lad, he gets the guns for the lad and that, and he's doing them all up and posing in front of the mirror, and accidentally blows his own brains out. And he's like, then he goes back to his office and he just smashes off, going, "I spent 2 weeks working with this kid and he's ruined it. What? And all that stupid idiot and all that." And it's just sort of, it doesn't always go where you think it's going to go. It's a bit X-Files-y in the way it kind of moves across, but it's a lot more
dark,
a lot darker at times, but also a lot more character. I think the X-Files was very much like this moves on. Characters do develop. The X-Files was great for about the first 3 or 4 seasons, and then it was like, well, we've seen aliens, you've seen aliens, they've seen aliens, but no one wants to say there's aliens. But we've seen, just admit it and take a step forward, and it never ever did. And I think that's where it lost itself. Whereas this kind of does, and things move on. So we've just done season 1. And I'm gonna fork out for season 2, I think, because I think that's only like a £5. I'm guessing by the time we get to season 3, it's 20 quid, and I'm in too deep. Yeah, I can see what they're doing, but it is really good. And no episode's the same in its own way, but they all do sort of follow on and stuff. And I mean, there's a few faces pop out along the way you recognise from different things, and that what you'd imagine from those sorts of programs. And but yeah, no, it hasn't been a bad episode yet. Cool. And when it's been really creepy, it's been really, really creepy as well. Even to the thing where I've jumped a couple of times.
And what's it on?
It's on Amazon.
Okay.
But I'm really surprised no channel picked it up to show it as a normal.
I think it was an HBO originally.
Well,
you know what they're like?
Sky Atlantic.
Yeah, but then Sky, I don't think Sky wanted it.
That's weird because and I have read that it's finished after the 4th series. But apparently it does have an ending.
Yeah.
It's not just like it was cancelled and that was it.
No.
So, because I was like, I've just got this and it's been cancelled. But like, no, it does have an ending. So, but so far so good. So that's Evil on Amazon Prime.
Cool. Damien?
So, sticking with Amazon Prime. Insomnia. So, this was heavily... I think... It might be a Paramount through Amazon Prime. If you know what I mean. Can't remember, but it was heavily.
It rings a bell.
Trailered back earlier in the summer.
Yeah.
On everything like Channel 5.
Is this a series or a...
Yeah, it's a series. It's got Vicky
McClure.
That's the fella. And she's a she's a lawyer working in family law, and she's approaching her 40th birthday. And as the title of the series would suggest, has insomnia.
Yes, I've seen it.
Yeah, and her mum also had the same.
I've seen the picture.
Yeah, you couldn't have not because it was everywhere for like a month. They trailed it.
Yeah, go on, carry it.
But we thought we'd give it a go. So she's she starts getting insomnia, and it was in the same way that her mum did at the same age before she had some psychotic break. Yeah, her mum was writing numbers on the wall and all sorts of shit. And it turns out that at one stage her mum was suffocating her little sister with a pillow, and then they got taken into care. And anyway, so this starts repeating itself. She starts having the same sort of issues, waking up or sort of sleepwalking, waking up in the middle of the night, banging on doors, trying to get out, and blah blah blah. And you're watching it going, is someone doing this to her? Is it her doing it herself, etc, etc. It gives a good 4, maybe 5 episodes before it starts to reveal anything to you. So, in fact, I was a bit bored, to be fair, but because episode was kind of, each episode was just another, is she being gaslit? Is she doing this? Is it something supernatural? Is it just insomnia? or is it a self-fulfilling prophecy or not? But it has quite a nice, decent wrap up. It's not a nice happy ending as per se, but it's a nice. It wraps up.
It's one of those things you think you've got it,
Yeah.
then it happens. If I was right.
Yeah. At one point you think, oh, it's
yeah,
she's doing something, and no, it's not. Oh, he's not doing anything.
And at the very end, there's still quite a nice.
Yeah. I think the only thing without trying to give too much away, there's a death in it that just wraps things up too nicely for the other story arc that's going on. So the fact that what's going on with her daughter and the fella, the fact that there's a death wraps that up too neatly to be, because they're.
And she gets over it really quickly.
Yeah.
I'm just checking them. Yeah, officially it's Paramount Plus, so that'll be on Amazon.
Yeah. So it's obviously available through Amazon, and if you subscribe to Paramount, it's there.
No, it's one of those things where Vicky McClure's pretty much everywhere at the moment.
She's good.
And it kind of put me off.
She's very good at it.
But we watched it. I thought, no, that was quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just could have been a little bit. The pacing was a little bit off in the first 3-4 episodes before it starts to ramp up, and the very last sort of thing they say at the end annoyed me a bit, but just a bit. It's a. I'm not gonna.
No, I know.
You can't say without.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm going to give two quickly, and this is the bit where I watched them, so you don't have to.
Cool.
The Strangers Chapter 1.
Never even heard of that.
So this is the one where strangers turn up, and basically they've got masks on.
It's the prequel, and it was
and they
Liv
terrorise
Tyler.
people.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Didn't know they'd done a prequel.
Yeah, so this is
there's a couple of them now, I think.
So the Strangers Chapter 1 is apparently the prequel. Don't waste your money. It ends on a cliffhanger to be continued. Just don't spend money on it. Wait until it's come out.
I thought they dropped the ball on the Strangers, really.
Yeah, I know.
The cleverest bit in it, they go over in about 10 seconds. And
well, it's like the other one where there's a free night a year where all hell can break loose. Yeah. So this is set again before the original the Strangers. I won't give too much away. A nice couple venturing through America, end up in like almost a little town, have to stay the night because their car just happens to break down when they're in the diner. They're in a cabin, and along come the strangers and terrorising them.
Yeah, I mean, the first one was okay, but I remember that there's a really clever bit which they don't explain or even go back to, and it's just left for you to either understand it or not. And it was like the bit where the smoke's coming back out of the fireplace, and like because they're in the chimney.
Yeah.
But they never even touch on that, and you don't even see it come out the chimney. It's just sort of left for you, and then it just turns into, oh no, they're in the house.
Yeah, but it's just a shame because it's just not very good. They turn up at the door. One of them turns up at the door. There's bits where they invade the house. But we've seen it so many times before. And as house invasions go, it's a letdown, and it ends on a to be continued. So don't waste your money on it.
What was the one where they did the house invasion and then he ends up helping them? I think it was a comedy. He holds them all hostage, or whatever, and then like someone's coming and it's the mother-in-law, and then he has to help them do that because. They're like, yeah, just because the guy's like, you can shoot her if you want. Like, and it just turns into like.
You're not thinking of not See No Evil. Don't Speak or something like that. Where in the first one he's really nasty, in the second one it's his daughter that comes along.
Oh no! This is literally like he ties them all up and you think he's like bad, and by the end of it they're all friends, and they're like, no, don't arrest him. He helped us all become better people and like fixed all the rifts in our family. Like one of those sort of 80s, late 80s.
Sounds like a Hallmark video.
Yeah, like one of those.
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, it was just like one of those. And
anyway, so Strangers prequel, not worth them.
Just don't bother. And just the quick mention, because obviously we need to talk about the thing. So last one from me for this week: Bad Boys Ride or Die. It's alright. You kind of know what you're going to get.
I've never liked any of them.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. If you want a bit of fun, action, it is what it is. But as I said, There's nothing new in it. So if you're a Will Smith fan, a Kevin Hart fan, go off and watch it. If you're not, don't bother until it comes out for free. Cool. So anything before we move on, Brett, to the spotlight?
No, we're going to take a technical break whilst we sort out the sound issues.
And then we'll come back for the
We'll
spotlight.
come back for spotlight.
Spotlight.
So, based on the 1938 story Who Goes There by John W. Campbell Jr. Great name, should have been a film star himself. And one of the things, a 1938 story. How great is that? Back in 1938, he still came up with this idea about aliens, taking over people.
Yeah.
I was quite impressed with that. Yeah. And also Howard Hawks had a version of the thing. I think it was 1950s, 1951 or something like that, or 1955. The Thing from Another World. The Thing is that we're focusing on tonight is a 1982 American sci-fi horror directed by John Carpenter. Definitely not David Carpenter, as I may have accidentally said in our previous episode.
You did.
Yeah. I think I was getting confused with David Cronenberg. And tells the story of a group of American researchers based in Antarctica whose paths cross with the infamous The Thing. Okay, so production began in the mid-70s and went through several writers and directors, kind of tumultuous affair, each with differing views on how to bring the story to the big screen. And even Carpenter was reluctant to take on the project, as he thought it would be a struggle to surpass Hawkes' version, but changed his mind after rereading the original novel and thinking that he'd be able to almost plant it in the modern time, as it were, back in the 70s, 80s, and took on the project. However, he then almost dropped out, as it looked like his passion project, El Diablo, might have been greenlit by EMI Films. However, unfortunately for him, but fortunately for us, that turned out not to happen for quite a long time. So he finally pulled his finger out and got on with directing The Thing. Filming finally began in 1981 and took place on location in Alaska, British Columbia, and specially built refrigerated sets. And I think filming took about 12 weeks or something. It was quite a quick jobby. It had a budget of about $15 million. About a tenth of that was spent on creature effects from the legend that is Rob Bottin. The film starred Kurt Russell as R.J. McCready, the helicopter pilot with a weird hat, E. Wilfred Brimley as Blair, T.K. Carter as Knowles the cook, David Clennon as Palmer, Keith David as Charles,
Yes.
Richard Dysart as Dr. Copper, Chris Hallahan as Norris, Peter Maloney as Bennings, Richard Masur as Clark. There's a couple of others as well, just for Brett's benefit. I haven't mentioned them as we've only gone through the key film, but
You mentioned the main ones.
thank you. The film received a number of negative reviews. I think at the time it was seen as almost a gore fest, and almost, some of the critics almost, it was a bit harsh and almost like a snuff film. It was really bizarre, some of the critic reviews. However, the practical effects received praise for some for their genius, and as I said, others ascribed it as repulsive, which was kind of the point of the special effects.
Ahead of its time.
It also followed the wholesome Spielberg blockbuster E.T., which came out in that summer, which depicted aliens as child-friendly bike-flying creatures. So the tone of the film was obviously in stark contrast for film goers, and the intended audience was completely different as well. However, it still managed to gross almost $20 million at the box office and found its own in the video market and also TV audiences to come in subsequent years, being hailed as one of the best sci-fi films ever made, and has also gained what is a cult following. However, as we're Cult Faction, it's time for our views. So first of all, before we go through the plot walkthrough, memories. Mr. Summers, starting with you.
Clearly remember seeing this in the video stores. I remember the weird glowing man on the front kind of thing and wondering what the hell it was, and then eventually persuading took ages to go, Mum, can I get this out? And she went, will you be quiet? And I was like, yeah. And she went, there you go. So, yeah, no. And then watching it, and I think when I first watched it, I didn't get it as much. It was just a gore fest. And then as I've got older,
Yeah.
you get a lot more of the little details and the little. Because when I first watched it, I was like, this is just like Alien. And it was kind of like, I think I'd seen Alien first, and it was that kind of, it's who's the monster now? And also, Bloodbath and the House of Death, Kenny Everett. I'd already seen that. And again, there was a mole impy, and it was who was the monster, and it was like that kind of thing. And it just reminded me of that. And, so I wasn't as impressed, but as I've grown older and got the little details and that, which we'll go on about today, no doubt, I've grown in appreciation of it and the work of John Carpenter.
Cool, Damien.
So, this wasn't a video store rental. This was a Dad knew someone who could get hold of films. So we had a copy of this. I'm probably like 84, 85, I would imagine, something like that. So what I would have been.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that could be.
Yeah, I would have been 7 or 8. No, a bit older than that. Anyway, too young to be watching it either way.
Yeah. Oh,
and unfortunately, with these type of copies of films, the quality isn't that great. So a bit similar to you, Brett. I think I remember watching it, being scared shitless, but not really knowing what was going on. And I think that the copy was so dark and dingy that probably didn't really appreciate most of what was actually happening on the screen. It was more the special effects that I remember. I don't remember much else. I think most of the action took place in a very dark, badly contrasted copy.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until much later when it was on, I don't know, whatever, on network telly, if you like, and we recorded it ourselves and watched it probably a couple of years later that I realised how good the film is. But again, it's one of those, as you get older, you realise how it's even better than it was the last time you watched it.
Yes.
So yeah.
Similar story to me. Dad would come home with a copy of a film that he'd got, and obviously we'd been terrorised with films like Extra and stuff like this. So almost kind of reluctant to sit down with him on Sunday afternoon after getting the call.
But you're a Gen Xer, so you did it anyway.
Of course it did.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much very similar. I mean, I think the quality was a bit better than the one that your dad managed to get. But again, at that age, I just remember the special effects more than the storyline. And even to this day, like people, it was the head that turns into the spider. I still vividly remember seeing that for the first time, going, "What the?" But it was later on when it came out, probably on terrestrial TV. I was a little bit older.
That's the word I was looking for. Terrestrial TV, not network.
And again,
terrestrial TV.
but even then, I think being a younger age, it was more on the monster element, and it was only when I became a teen and later on rewatched it that you kind of get the, oh my god, this is actually more about the interplay between people not knowing who to trust.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a lot deeper than just a B-movie monster thing.
Yeah. But
and so much debate on the end, which I imagine we will get to.
But those are our memories. So before we come on to what we think the ending might be, let's start at the very beginning. Mr. Summers.
He's been Googling.
No, he's not. He's been doing the title card.
Dun, dun, dun. So it should be said as well that Carpenter sometimes does the music to his films.
Oh, he always does. Yeah, it's amazing stuff. Who doesn't love that dark symphony and the opening credits? I mean, he's actually doing concerts now of all the music from his films. And they're selling out. He's done like what's the big hall in like New York where all the orchestra's playing?
Carnegie?
Yeah, something like that. He's done like one of those and like everyone's been, and it's I imagine it's a full band, not just him on a synth.
it just comes out on stage with a little Yamaha.
Like Friends style.
Yeah. It's just go doo.
But, you know, and a lot of the vinyls now. There's all special vinyls of all these different soundtracks now, and some of them are like there's like limited edition ones now. They're going for stupid money, but it's he's the Dennis Waterman of horror, isn't he? Sang the theme tune, directed the film, directed it. But yeah, so we get the dark synth Carpenter music over the opening credits, and then we see a flying saucer fly towards Earth and descend into the atmosphere. And then overlaid with that, we get the big scary font that a lot of people have ripped off over the years. John Carpenter's The Thing. Then suddenly we're in Antarctica, and a Norwegian helicopter is pursuing a poor little sled dog to an American research station. And the Americans witness the passenger accidentally blow up the helicopter and himself. And then there's this pilot who runs around with his rifle and he's shouting at the Americans, but they don't understand him. And he's shot in self-defense by Station Commander Gary. The American helicopter pilot R.J. McCready and Dr. Cooper leave to investigate the Norwegian base to see what the fuss is about, while the little dog runs on into safety.
Poor dog.
When they get to Norwegian base, they find lots of charred ruins and frozen corpses. And then they find this really gross sort of burnt corpse of a malformed humanoid, which, as you do, they decide to transfer back to their station. Their biologist Blair autopsies the remains and finds a normal set of human organs underneath it all. Yeah, I wouldn't have took it back.
No, well,
No. I mean, why would you do that? Why would you do that?
And the biologists as well, yeah? So they know not to go messing around with things.
Yeah.
Surely. There's no...
Well, to be fair, it would have been a pretty short film had they not done
I know, but there's no decontamination. They don't lock it away.
No, they're not wearing any special equipment.
Yeah.
But they're like the B team though, aren't they? They're only there to keep the lights on over the dark period. They're not the top scientific.
They're the skeleton crew.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, so first thoughts on the opening. It was of the time with the opening credits. You know, when you think back to all the other sci-fi
100%.
films going on.
I mean, it reminded me of the what do you call it that we did last year.
Critters.
No, much earlier than that. The 50s one. I forgot what it was now.
Invaders from Mars.
Invaders from Mars.
Yeah.
It's got a very, which I think it's done on purpose. To be fair, I think that's the whole point. But it reminded me very much of that, and Extra as well. Where it just opens with the spaceship plummeting to Earth, and then the story unfolds. You know, only us as the audience see that. No one else bears witness.
We get the dramatic irony of we know that it's come from space.
But yeah, it sets the scene. It's it's clear that the Norwegians are panicking about something.
I want to kill the dog.
In true Hollywood style, the Americans are too dumb to realise there's a problem and just go, "You're trying to kill a dog."
Yeah.
Not thinking there's probably a reason they're trying to kill the dog. Maybe at the very least it's got rabies. But no, let's just take the dog in, let it go and sit with the other dog.
Shoot the foreigner.
Yeah.
Do you know what scared me the most in this scene? Blair, the biologist or assistant, Wilfred Brimley. Right,
I know where you're going with this, but
Younger than us is something like that.
What?
It was a younger than us.
But he's about 47, 48 at this point. And he's only 2 years away from being a grandparent in Cocoon.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Again, further proof of people looked older in the 80s.
Yeah.
100%.
And this is like the only time I've seen him be horrible to anyone in anything he's ever been in. I'm sure there probably is a film.
there must be, but he's always the kindly.
There's like this, then there was like all the Cocoon stuff, then that film with Corky, then he done that TV series with Corky, it was his grandson, and he had Down syndrome, but he could go and do normal things. That was basically what the sitcom was about, Look, he's done this today, oh, well done. And all that, and he was the granddad. It was very patronising, I thought. But probably done a lot of good work at the time, and all that, but it was always like the nice sort of sage-like grandpa. And then here he's like, yeah, I don't give a shit, man, or whatever, and it was just...
He's a whiskey drinking.
Yeah.
nutcase.
But yeah, it was 48. So it's pretty much just maybe
Yeah.
a year above us at school. And
Anyway,
Moving on, Damien.
okay. So Clark kennels the sled dog, and it soon metamorphoses and absorbs several of the station dogs. This disturbance alerts the team, and Charles uses a flamethrower to incinerate the creature. Blair autopsies the dog thing and summarizes it as an organism that can perfectly imitate other life forms. Data recovered from the Norwegian base leads the Americans to a large excavation site containing a partially buried alien spacecraft, dun, 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 which Norris estimates has been buried for over 100,000 years, and a smaller, human-sized dig site. Blair runs more tests using his scientific equipment and then uses his next-gen level computer to tell him that there's a 75% chance that one of the people at the camp has been affected by the thing. It goes on to tell him that if the thing escapes to the mainland, then it would overtake the entire population within a matter of days. The group implements controls to reduce the risk of assimilation. I love the computer in this.
Yeah, I mean, this is HAL 9000 on
Yeah.
steroids.
Yeah.
This is answering questions before he even asks.
I also like the fact that made now, or whatever Blair's doing would be explained to us. It would
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah.
you know, there'd have to be someone else in the room with him, and he'd be telling, I'm just going to take this
It would be
sample.
proper invaders from Mars. Doctor, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
am taking this up.
We don't need that shit. It's just like, he's doing some science stuff.
Yeah.
That's all we need to know.
But did you like, again, 82 was this?
81.
81. Do you like the way
82.
they
sorry,
even,
82.
like, as you know, with the Cold War looming, they made sure that none of this was America's fault. Because, like, those damn Norwegians, what are they doing digging down here? Look what they've done. Look what they've done. We're
Yeah.
just here minding our own business.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
did it. Even in a film, we've got to make sure it's not their fault.
No, but the equipment in the 80s is a lot better than it is today. I mean, we're seeing cells being taken over in real time,
Yeah.
and the computer's telling us what it's doing. Very impressive.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of that must have been lost in explosions because you
Yeah.
know, it took us decades
To recapture that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reverse
I mean, it's
engineering.
just like, you know, with their teletext like graphics and printouts and that, they were able to work out a lot of stuff that modern medical science has forgotten, and just sort of just how they powered it as well
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere.
But also in other news, the effects are still spot on. You know,
The dog bit was cool.
Yeah.
I like the
Yeah.
dog bit. That was probably one of my favourite bits, actually. I'd forgotten all about that.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen this. But
And so we've kind of we haven't skipped over it per se, but there's a lot of the dog walking around, and it's a really good job of building tension.
yeah,
oh yeah.
Just the way it.
Well, they actually
you think
did
it's gonna
something
do
with
something.
because again, this is where my Alien comparison came in. There was a cat on it in the first
Yeah.
Alien, yeah. And I was like, when I was younger, and but watch it now. They make a point of, you know, Carpenter makes a character out of the dog. With the cat, it's like, oh yeah, there's a cat, and then you see it walk away, and then until it's needed for the graphic scene, you don't see him. You
Yeah.
see the dog like giving people
It's
sly
watching,
looks,
yeah.
and like, watching people, and just standing there and watching. And there's one bit where it's like blatantly watching, and someone spots it watching. It like goes all dog-like, and
Yeah.
you know, it's good dog. I hope it won an award or something. Is there an Oscar for dogs? There should be.
I don't know. There should be.
Dogster.
Might be a bit racist to cats. The remains of the malformed humanoid assimilate and isolated beddings. Poor beddings. But Windows interrupts the process and McCready burns the beddings type thing. The team also imprison Blair in a tool shed after he sabotages all the vehicles, kills the remaining sled dogs, and destroys the radio to prevent escape. He's gone off on one. Copper suggests testing the infection by comparing the crew's blood against uncontaminated blood held in storage. But after learning the blood stores have mysteriously been destroyed, the men lose faith in Gary's leadership. And McCready takes command. Of course he does.
He was born to do it.
Yeah. And drink whiskey. He, Windows and Knowles find Fuchs's
Fuchs. Yeah.
burnt corpse and surmise he committed suicide to avoid assimilation. Windows returns to base while McCready and Knowles investigate McCready's shack. During their return, Knowles abandons McCready in a snowstorm, believing he has been assimilated after finding his torn clothes in the shack. Okay, so all hell's breaking loose and everyone's getting more than a little bit paranoid.
Yeah, definitely. When you see the light guy in the shack, it's like, who's up there? Oh. But it's a little bit, I don't know. It was, there was a lot of that could have been avoided. Do you know what I mean? It was like, let's just go around in pairs, or let's just do that, or I don't know.
So this was almost like an episode of Scooby-Doo. Everyone split up.
Yeah, everyone just ran around. It's like, we don't trust anyone, but let's all go on our own to different places.
Yeah.
Like,
and not know what's happened to each other, and then come back, we'll meet up again, and definitely not know.
And like Blair in the tool shed, initially, he's just trying to stop the thing from spreading. But
well, so he says.
So he said, and that's why he's done that. But then later on, obviously we find the other bit, but nothing he does would be, if he wasn't possessed, he would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just sort of like, apart from when they find something else in a minute, which we'll get into, but like everyone's like, oh, he's done that. I'm like, well, he would have done that. I don't know. It was just a bit weird. I don't know.
That if you're that way inclined to like sacrifice yourself to stop this from happening, then that is exactly what needs to be done.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Destroy
It was like, he's evil.
Destroy it with fire.
Oh, and it was like, oh, that's what he's. So I don't know I don't know if they made that clear enough or got a bit confused because the character seemed like, well, he must be. He was like, no, he's trying to.
Yeah.
I just didn't think he would have acted any differently if he was evil or good there.
The weird thing for me is it almost felt a bit rushed, and there's not many characters in this, so you'd expect things to happen quickly.
And characters haven't got offensive names.
But I also found it, even though there's only a few characters, it felt like they were really rushing through the story. Even a lot of the dialogue and where there's a pairs them, they could have built up some of the conversation, or
Yeah.
It
Well,
did.
I thought, and this might come up in a minute. Well, I watched cause I've got the Blu-ray, whatever, how many years it was, special edition, whenever the last one came out. But I swear there was a bit where they did the test and someone faked the test, and then they were the thing. I remember seeing that, and it's not. I wasn't in an alternative timeline.
Mandela effect.
Maybe it was like a deleted scene or something. But there was a bit like it was like how they got round the test, and it was like, well, they swapped the bloods.
Don't know.
But it kind of rings a bell, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
But that wasn't in this, and I was like, I'm sure there was another bit. So I was like, is it like a? No, the directors cut it a bit. And
or is it
Mandela
effect?
No, I definitely remember him sweet, but then I thought maybe it was a deleted scene or something. And but I'm sure there was something about like, how they got round the test because they did something and then later on they were it. But if you watch it, you can see them do it, but you don't.
The other thing is as well, there may have been different versions for the UK. I think there was a UK version as well.
Okay.
So I don't know for definite, but maybe that's something
I'm
else.
sure there was something maybe.
Anyway.
Readers, diehards, let us know. But I was waiting for that bit, and it's like, but maybe it was a different film that was similar. I don't know. But I'm not going to sleep over it that much, or think I'm an alternative timeline now, like half the fucking TikTok.
Right, carry on.
Oh yes. So the team are now debating whether or not to allow McCready inside. I mean, the fact that it's Kurt Russell should let them know that they're going to be all right.
In he comes in the RV from hell.
But so he breaks in anyway and holds the group at bay with dynamite, which nearly did actually blow him up, didn't it? Or something. I remember I saw that. During the encounter, Norris appears to suffer a heart attack. As Cooper attempts to defibrillate Norris, his chest transforms into a large mouth and bites off Cooper's arms. And obviously that kills him. But that was cool. And I'm sure there was a Ghostbusters.
There was a Ghostbusters,
yeah. That was a very good one. McCready incinerates the Norris thing, but its head detaches and attempts to escape before also being burnt. McCready hypothesizes that the Norris thing demonstrated that every part of the thing is an individual life form with its own survival instincts. Great biological knowledge from the helicopter.
Yeah.
So he proposes testing blood. Here we go. So it's on that. He proposes testing blood samples from each survivor with a heated piece of wire, and has each man restrained, but is forced to kill Clark after he lunges at McCready with a scalpel. Everyone passes the test except Palmer, whose blood recoils from the heat. Exposed, the Palmer thing transforms, breaks through its bonds, and infects poor old Windows, forcing McCready to incinerate them both. Poor old Windows.
Poor Windows, yeah.
Gets a bullied nickname all the way through because he's got glasses.
and then literally gets his head, but not the head that everyone wants.
Oh.
That was good. A good scene. It's just
nice intense, nice paranoia.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's good. Builds tension. As the audience, you've got no clue who's what. You know. I'm sure there's a little bait and switch a little bit earlier that makes you think, oh, he's got it, and it turns out it's not him. I can't remember which round it is now. It's been a week or so since I watched it, and you know whatever he's like. But great scene.
Yeah. And so it's, again, special effects top notch, or creature effects top notch. There's the bit as well, isn't there, where they do the test on Palmer's blood. No, not Palmer's blood. The one that lunges from, and he kills, and it turns out that he's not the thing.
Yeah.
He was just trying to get McCready. So it's like, you killed him. It's like, yeah, you're coming up to me with a scalp.
Yeah. What do you expect?
I'm Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
And again, it's just nice, fast-paced action, and even the bit where at the very end, the Palmer thing, affects Windows. It says infects Windows, but he, literally goes for his head, starts swallowing him, starts converting.
Always go for the head.
And then he nukes them both.
The bit I think is very clever in this, and John Carpenter, I guess this is his genius as a visionary director, and something he doesn't do in a lot of his other films, especially the Halloween ones, is he lets the silence be noisy, where they're just all looking at each other. There's not like, hey man, I think it's you, or this or that. It's just quiet and everyone's looking at each other.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a really good way of building tension. It lets the scene breathe because of that, because there is no dialogue, and the audience, as the audience, you
want to know what's going on. Yeah, you're there with them. Your blood's being tested.
Cool. So carry on.
Yeah,
go for it.
Charles is left on guard while the others go to test Blair, but they find that he has escaped, and he's been using vehicle components to assemble a small flying saucer, which they decide to destroy. Upon their return, Charles is missing, and the power generator has been destroyed, leaving the men without heat. McCready speculates that, with no escape left, the thing intends to return to hibernation until the rescue team arrives. McCready, Gary, and Knowles agree that the thing cannot be allowed to escape and set explosives to destroy the station, but the Blair thing kills Gary, and Knowles disappears. The Blair thing transforms into an enormous creature, breaks the detonator, but McCready triggers the explosives with a stick of dynamite, destroying the station.
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot happens in a short space of time. I mean, it really is, I was going to say, action-packed, nail-biting adventure. But it really is. I mean, again, where it's set on a small base, small outpost or whatever, there's not much place to hide.
Claustrophobia.
Yeah.
I think the only bit, the thing that lets this bit down is they don't really necessarily spend enough time on what he's been doing.
Yeah. What, digging a big catacomb?
Well, yeah, but whether that catacomb existed or not.
Yeah, well, did he know it was there all along?
Exactly.
Did he,
but it's more about the little spaceship and what he's planning. It's like, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's doing this, and they're off again.
I was just more impressed with the ET skills of being able to build a space source, little flying saucer out of all the parts that required.
That's what I mean. I don't know.
I was expecting a little speaking spell to be
yeah.
But again, there's nothing until he becomes the thing to suggest he's a thing because he's still acting the same.
Yeah.
That's the one bit with Blair. It's like, oh, he's done that and he's building that. Yeah, but he would have done anyway, whether he was good or not. I don't know. I feel like they had a very.
It's almost like it's retrofitted into the script. Even though, I mean, imagine they wrote the script in order, which no one ever does. But the script was written in order, and it's like, we've got to this point. How can we? I know we'll make Blair. He's had it all along. Well, shouldn't we go back and write in a little scene where something happens, even if it's very subtle? Nah, let's not bother with that. We just crack on. That's what it feels like.
You're probably right.
Well, again, they only had 12 weeks of shooting as well.
Yeah, but the script and all that stuff.
No, I know, but what I mean is like normally, a director would go through that and then say, actually, I'll reshoot that bit, or we'll do it again differently once, they go.
Carpenter's known for a few claims like that. I think it was Escape from New York, where I think it was he showed it to his crew, and I think it was J.J. Abrams, or he was the guy that done Buffy and made films, Josh
Whedon.
I think it was Josh Whedon or J.J. Abrams. Like their dad was one of the camera people that worked for him, and like the young child version of him sat there and went, "Well, what happened there? That didn't make sense because that woman didn't die or whatever." And they went, "Yeah, she died. Well, where?" And then they filmed the scene where I forgot the name now. The lady with dark hair. I think she was with John Carpenter. She's in Alexandra. She's in all his films. She's the radio lady in The Fog.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
a bit where you see her in Escape from New York, where she gets shot and drops on the floor, was filmed in their garage. They did it then and cut it into the film because 6-year-old, it was either Josh Whedon or J.J. Abrams, said like that, and they're like, "Yeah, it's right, quick, pull it in." So it wouldn't surprise me if then, because Carpenter sometimes was trying to get in touch with his visions a bit more.
Yeah, it's almost like they missed this. Just and all it would have needed to been is just him, like if he's doing a blood test or whatever, he's got a cut or something.
Yeah.
Just
just
you wouldn't even maybe as an audience the first time round you wouldn't even necessarily have to notice it. Anyway, that's the only bit that lets the.
And if we did think that was quick.
Yeah, I don't. There's no way he could have done that unless
with his alien powers.
With his alien, he's like made big hands and just
or multiple hands.
Yeah,
and multiple
JCB hands.
Yeah. Anyway, the outpost is up in flames, burning down just like the Norwegian camp did a few days before. McCready, covered in a blanket and carrying around a bottle of whiskey, sits down to chill, literally. Charles arrives with his flamethrower. When McCready asks where he's been, he says he's been looking for Blair. They're exhausted, freezing, and most likely going to die soon because of the cold. They both sit down and share the bottle of whiskey. The end. Or is it? Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So we've got the ending, and it's deliberately done to,
ambiguous.
Yeah.
I think it was very clear this time around.
Go on.
Cool.
Charles is the thing.
How so?
There's no breath coming from him at all.
Yeah. I
see. Yeah.
And also the eyes. The eyes are
always something in the eyes. Well,
which I went back and had a look, and you can see it on the other ones. Like once I had to look it up. But yeah, the whole he didn't breathe at all. He's not breathing. So when he comes in, Kurt Russell's got all the look like he's smoking, like the old winter breath. And Matey comes on, there's nothing there at all.
So I must admit, I didn't pick up on that until afterwards when I looked online.
Yeah.
And that bit I looked at, and then I was like, "Is that on purpose, or is that just because that bit was filmed indoors later on?"
Yeah,
because that does happen sometimes. But
then that leads us back to the point where McCready, if he knows, he just sits down and has a whiskey with him.
Well, it's just checkmate again, isn't it?
Exactly.
It goes back to the computer he smashed up at the beginning when he lost at chess.
Yeah.
So he's hand soloing him basically. He's got the thing on the flamethrower is ready to go. He's pouring him a drink, and he's hand shot first, or Kurt shot before that. Maybe I don't know where he did. But yeah, that was my view on the ending.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I've seen it a few times. But years ago, I would have looked at that, I was just like, oh, they did it.
Or did they? And then they're sitting down for a long sleep. Okay, so what do we think of the film? Brett, coming to you first because you're opposite me.
I would say I definitely enjoyed it. There are lots of little things I think that make it stand out more than some of its similar counterparts. Like it's, Blood Bath of the House of Death and Alien of sort of, well, I need the other Alien things where it's, oh, who's in it? Who's it in now? It's got a lot more cleverness about it than that. But I would almost like it to be a bit more clever. But because part of me is like, John Carpenter meant that. Part of me thinks, did John Carpenter do it by accident and just say it? Because, like I say, he has a history of the odd little wonky bit here or there that he's then gone, yeah, that meant that, or that meant this, or, and it's, I don't always think he did. He's too busy dicking around with his Casio keyboard. But it's still a classic, and it needs to be seen. And I watched the other one as well, and they do fit together well, considering the other one was like 20 years later.
Oh,
and everyone moaned about it being a remake.
Oh yeah, I've not.
But it ends with them chasing the dog and it escapes. So it ties back round, and it gives a little bit more to it in some ways, but it is the same film really. But it works, it's sort of, you don't need to have seen the other one, but it adds a little bit more to the mythos or whatever. But good film, stands the test of time. You know what I mean? Better than half things they bring out nowadays.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And there's special effects. Again, no CGI. Could it be more scary if they done it today? Possibly. But would it be as disturbing? Probably not.
No, I think CGI would take the realism out.
Yeah, because it's almost that. Well, it is really. It's almost Cronenbergian body horror, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that sort of thing, and it's
So much so that it might be forgiven to say it was a David Carpenter film. All right, David.
very good though.
Same as it is a must watch. I enjoyed it more this time round, probably because my memories of it are so dark, and even though I've watched it many times since the original time on the dodgy VHS copy.
Didn't have Japanese subtitles.
Yeah, exactly. But watching it on the bigger screen there on the projector, I just thoroughly enjoyed it again. Because it's been a long time since I watched it as well. So there are a few things I didn't pick up on in previous viewings, which I've already talked about. The fact that Blair, there's nothing that indicates Blair has been infected. Just I can't get past that. That annoys me.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's a stone cold classic.
Yeah.
And woe betide anyone that tries to remake it. Prequels, fine. Even do a sequel, but don't try and remake it.
Yeah, so pretty much the same. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Practical effects, thinking that this was 1982 when there's so much garbage coming out at the time. Yes, they spent $1.5 million on it, but that was a lot of money at the time. But it's so worth it. Even now, it stands up and it stands the test of time. We're 40 years on. I just think that's phenomenal. But not just that. It sounds daft, but even the casting for this, I think they nailed it. Yeah, some of it was stereotypical at the time, but that was the way it was done.
Yeah.
And Kurt Russell, typical action star. I think
everyone's cast perfectly, and I think even though, as we said earlier, the interaction between all the characters isn't much of it, in so much there's no real characterization of the characters. I can't put it any other way. Nowadays there'd be a backstory for every single one of them. Someone would have been heartbroken, and that's why he's taken the job out in the Antarctic. Kurt Russell would have probably killed someone as a pilot, and now that's why he's just ferrying a few people here and there. He had a terrible time in there, man, or something. Some of that, all that sort of nonsense. It doesn't need that.
Yeah.
But I guess the thing that lets it down is there's no sense of camaraderie between them before anything kicks off. So as people get dispatched, there's no. They're just cannon fodder.
Well, they don't care and we don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's no. None of them. They're not. None of them are great buddies or anything like that. I mean, McCready stays up in his shack on his own for most of the time, drinking whiskey and playing chess. So, there's no. You don't necessarily care about any of the characters. Even you only care about Kurt Russell because it's Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
You don't actually necessarily care for his character because he's probably a bit of an arsehole, to be fair.
I quite felt sorry for Blair because of his grandchildren.
And I think that's the difference between something like Alien, where they have that opportunity to build up the cast and build up the crew.
A 40-minute setup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this is literally starting with the dog running at them, and then hell breaks loose. But that's the storyline. So I'll forgive it for that. And as I said, even though it felt a bit rushed in some scenes, a lot happens in the space of a night. So I can almost forgive it that. But yeah, loved it. And I think, like yourself, I haven't seen it for a few years. So even while I kind of remembered what it was about and what happened, it still felt really, I was going to say fresh. Fresh is the wrong word, but I picked up stuff that I'd forgotten or hadn't picked up, when I previously watched it. I think, definitely cult film, but it's more than a cult film, if that makes sense, because it's not really good, but it's got a cult following. Actually, it's a great film.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I was just going to say, does any John Carpenter film actually end with an ending? Or is it, I'm just trying to think now, do they all end on some sort of cliffhanger, don't they? Maybe actually does the fog. No, because even in the fog, the vicar gets it at the end, just as you think.
Yeah.
They live, he just blows up the tower.
Yeah, so the aliens get revealed, so you don't know what happens after that. I mean, the aliens still have the technology.
I suppose it's Escape from New York. It's left as a cliffhanger, but then there's the other one,
Escape from LA,
whatever it is. So it's.
I can't remember Escape from LA
so
finishes.
Maybe those. Yeah, he saves Johnny Cash's daughter or whatever it is, and then. They say Johnny Cash, I can't remember now, it's been a while.
Yeah.
But he's the President of America, which,
Right, scores on the doors, Brett.
Presidents.
Yeah.
Come on, out of 10. What are we giving this one?
Ooh. Probably a solid 8, I think.
Okay, Mr. Hicks?
I was going to go for 8, and then I remembered earlier I gave A Night with the Devil 8. And this is far better than Night with the Devil. So it's going to be a 9. It is close to being the perfect film. Despite all the things I've said about it, the negatives that I've called out, as a film, it doesn't necessarily need those. It's only, you watch it.
It starts nitpicking,
It's been a bit nitpicky. It's the fact that we've probably seen it so many times. But if you going in cold, it is just it rip roars through a night in Antarctica where shit's going down. So if you look at it from that perspective, it doesn't need the characterization. It doesn't need. We don't need to see Blair become infected. It's just this is what happens. Deal with it.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm giving it a 9.
Okay, I'm. Jesus. 8.5. I go in the middle because I can't decide whether it's 8 or 9. I really did thoroughly enjoy it. It stands the test of time. And I think it's difficult because the legacy of this is almost similar to Alien. It's kind of entwined into every sci-fi film or every Simpsons cartoon.
Well, you think the X-Files done an episode like this. That whole, what's it called, with Jodie Foster, the detective, True Detective, was kind of a research base in Antarctica, and I'm sure there's even many films and knockoffs and.
Yeah, you've got all those sort of zombie alien Nazi films, all
Yeah.
Same sort of similar vein.
Yep, so 8.5.
Cool.
I'm just looking.
I haven't got the thing up, and I
It's fine.
forgot.
Adrian Barbeau is Carpenter's then wife, who's in all his films, and she is in this. She's the voice of the Jessica.
That's right. She is the voice of the Jessica.
So she was in this as well. I just don't put it on my notes.
Cool, okay, so what's that? 16 and a half, 20, 25 and a half out of 30. We won't go through where that comes on our standings because Damien can't
No, I
find it,
can't find it.
but it's probably quite high.
The Cult Faction official movie ranking board will
Appear at some point.
will eventually be on the cultfaction.com website, but we haven't got there yet because Damien loses it.
I don't know what I've done with it.
And the scoreboard.
Okay, so that was episode 1, 2,
I found
3.
it. I found it.
Oh, hello.
All news just in.
Here we go. Come on, let's do it. Let's get it done. Otherwise, we'll forget what we gave it, and then I'll have to listen to this nonsense again.
Nonsense.
Okay, so 25 and a half, is it?
Wait, let me get it loaded up. Bloody hell.
Sorry, when you said you found it, I thought...
Yeah, I found the document, not the... Right, so what are we... The thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The thing. So we got an 8.
8.5.
8.5.
And a 9.
And a 9. That gives us 25.5. And let me just do
When?
the sorty thingy-majiggy.
What's above it?
I'm an Excel whiz me. Wait a minute, I've got to remember how to do this bit. Oh dear.
Sort by.
Yeah, you've lost sort.
Top right, normally.
Oh, it's because I wasn't at the top of the thing. It's not working.
Sort by descending.
I know what you got to do. It's just not there. What is going on?
The listeners and viewers on tenterhooks now.
They are. Everyone wants to know. Why is this not working? That's better. There we go. Why have I not? I've got to sort A to Z and Z to A. Not. What's this nonsense? What is going on?
I selected the right column.
Yeah. I'll do it myself. Funny enough, it is equal to Invaders from Mars
Ooh.
and House.
Cool.
Next down is Office Space on 25.5.
What's above it?
House. Well, so Train to Start that again. Train to Busan is so far our top-rated film. It got 9s across the board, so it's obviously on 27. If you can do maths that quick. And then we got Invaders from Mars, House, and then Office Space.
That's pretty good company to be on.
Yeah.
And what's under it?
So immediately below that is Office Space and Grosse Pointe Blank, both on 25.
Cool.
Oh, good company.
Them to scores on the doors.
Yeah.
Right, so that has been episode 123 of the Cult Faction podcast with the spotlight on The Thing. Thanks to our listener, Danny Watts, for suggesting that nomination. And we haven't had any nominations from anyone online that I've looked up recently.
That's it.
So,
Send them in.
so our next viewing nomination for the spotlight is going to come to Mr. Hicks. What we're going to be watching for next week's episode, Damien?
Well, seeing as the series that recently dropped on Apple, I'm yet to watch it, by the way. But it has dropped. There's, I don't know, 6 or 7 episodes available, I don't know.
Bluey.
Yeah, but that's not on Apple. That's on iPlayer and Disney Plus. They've got new episodes on Disney Plus at the moment. It's hilarious, isn't it? Anyway, in light of the series airing on Apple, we are going to revisit the 1981 classic, I think it's 81, Time Bandits.
Ooh, cool.
Oh, okay. That's been a long time.
Been a very long time.
Yeah.
Well, there are still lines I can quote from it, so I'm quite looking forward to it.
Cool. I'm not going to veto that one. I'm up for that.
I think we should veto the veto because we never vetoed.
No, we never video anything, do we?
What's it on?
It is available on Amazon and Apple, I believe, both at a cost.
And It's on Channel 4 Play.
Oh, that's it. That's the other
moment
place I
as
saw
well.
it for free. It is free on Channel
Just
the
look-
Channel 4 thing,
look
4OD,
it up now.
whatever it's called now. I would assume that comes with adverts, but actually so does Amazon now. So
Everything comes with adverts again now.
Cool.
that's your homework for next episode.
Brilliant. Looking forward to that. So, time to start the shutdown proceedings. So, thanks for those of us that have been listening and viewing online on YouTube.
Watching us, watching you, watching the thing.
Don't forget to check out the podcast as well. If you're not on YouTube, we're pretty much everywhere that's still going. We're also on all the socials and all that platforms.
Yeah.
X,
TikTok,
and
Instagram, Facebook, Threads. But to be honest, Instagram is probably the best one now because I don't know why, but on Facebook and Threads now, when stuff from the website gets shared, they've stopped sharing the image that comes with the story. You just get like the website logo, like the Cop Action test card, rather than the picture of whatever it is. Whereas Instagram still seems to do that for now. I don't know if that's a meta thing or something, but I've noticed that this week. So that's something I need to sort of investigate. And
Fair enough.
we're just on that. So we've obviously got a lot of content and reviews and all that kind of good stuff, Brett, which can be found on the mothership, which is
cultfaction.com.
As always, you can leave a comment on any of those different social platforms or on YouTube. Please, if
And
there's
obviously on YouTube, if you disagree with our interpretation of the ending, feel free to comment.
or if you want to suggest a film that we should cover on a spotlight episode, please leave a comment on any of those devices or media platforms.
You could hear your name on this podcast.
Like Danny Watts and his daughter Tallulah. Tonight's show has been sponsored by. But Damien, if people want to actually get in contact with us through a different medium, like email, how could they do that?
Old-fashioned email, you can do that on cultfactionpodcast@mail.com.
So just leaves to say thanks once again. I've been your host, Paul Hawkins, and I'm joined by
Brett Summers.
And Damien Hicks.
Nothing more.
We're off to burn some shit down.
We're going to destroy it. Destroy it with fire.
What? Yeah, the studio, Damien. Can we do that?
No, you can't. I'm not even finished refurbishing it yet.
I'm going to grab a bottle of whiskey, and Brett's going to grab a flamethrower. Thanks for watching. Good night. Good day.
Adieu.
Check you later.
Superman.